Oh, hold on. All right, well, where we left off was um, finally having some decent success after having some money issues. Let's get all the sound actually going through my headset and launch again. Yeah, it was about 3 hours ago. I had the issue of basically running out of money, but made a decent amount of money doing transmission jobs. So I think the plan is just to keep doing that. If it ain't broken, don't fix it. Might actually get our paint shop up and running soon. Which mostly I'm looking forward to paint shop because that'll allow us to when I buy cars from me, I can get them perfectly fixed up. Meanwhile, that right there is one of the cars I look forward to getting it in this game, the knockoff Diablo. I'm also looking forward to when the workshop gets online and people start putting up modded cars because a lot of you can get all sorts of cars. I'm actually looking forward because in Car Mechanic Simulator 2018, I actually got my car in there. That was really nice. Okay, well, we are in our shop. We've got a decent amount of money, but I'm not going to take the risk of not having enough. Uh, well, I was not quick enough in the draw. Don't get any of those. But let's see. I know in Car Mechanic Simulator 2020, I want to say we had 3 hoists in 2018, and that was nice. But I don't see the upgrade for another hoist. I wonder if they've limited us to 2 in this game. Or maybe I'm just remembering wrong and I didn't actually ever get 3. Hmm. Oh, sure, we'll do this one. It's a Nissan Silvia. I rather enjoy the car, so we'll work on this one. See what sort of condition it's in. It's seen better days. It's a nice color on the car though. It's a really good looking car. I love the S15. Taillights are a bit weird, but the front headlights, everything looks really nice. Yeah, and I guess in this menu right here, you can, if I try to move a car, you can see I've got the 3 outdoor spots, and it gives me a bunch of grayed out spots I don't have, but there are only 2 lift spots, so yeah, I guess this is all I get. 2 hoists I'll have to do. so we got 4 parts to look for in running gear and suspension. I'm going to go ahead and guess that that's one of them. So let's get this thing lifted up. Unbolt the sway bar link, get that shock out of there. Now I don't think just pulling the shock out is enough for... Okay, yes, as soon as I have it in my hand, it does tell me front shock absorber cap is what needs to be replaced. And then so we have something with steering, or 2 parts with steering, and 1 other general running gear, which could be a wide variety of things. Well, I'm going to guess that steering rack needs to come out, so... And that right there will probably be the other culprit. It'd be so nice if in real life you got a list that basically told you how many parts you needed to replace, instead of having to diagnose and sort out how much of your, basically what's all actually involved in the real problem. I think I'm going to go to inspection mode and just basically give a group inspection and see if we can figure out what the running gear issue is. Oh, there it looks like we got it. Bad sway bar link. I suspect that'll be everything, but gives us experience to do the inspection, so we'll just carry on. Inspect the rest of the car. Nope, can't take it off without taking off the tire. Which, in an actual shop, I absolutely would not bother taking the tire off. That bolt is not any more accessible with the tire off. Well, I mean, it kind of is. You can reach over the brake to get it now, so that does make a difference. Alright, we need the link, steering rack, tire rod, and we've got to get that suspension apart before we can replace the cap. Clear the search, and we just need a shock, basically a strut cap. This should be capable. Right there, front shock absorber cap. Take all that off, and let's build a new one. I should have checked and see if I can repair any of this stuff. Save yourself a lot of money. Actually, so this game gets finicky on this. I'm gonna make sure I put the new tie rod on the side that the broken one came out of, because it will sometimes not, basically you can't complete the car because you did not take put the new part in where the old part came off. You can get very sensitive that way. Which in real life just really isn't a problem, because you usually leave things organized in such a way that they're always going back together where they came off. You don't have to remember which side a particular piece came off of, because it'll be on that side of the car organized with everything else. That should be the car done, and that actually paid out much better than I was expecting. But let's see. I'm guessing these parts are not... they're probably too bad condition to be repairable. That's probably what it is. So. Let's see. Let's grab that one. Just easy gravy transmission work, and it's a real drive car too. Perfect. Excellent. Real drives are a lot easier to do transmission work on because you don't have to take any of the tires off. You can just pull the drive shaft. Which I guess I can actually do body repairs at this point. So I don't have to hold off on doing those jobs, so. I do not like the way the camera forces you to sit while undoing the bolts for the drive shaft. You're just too far out to be useful. Can't see the bolts I'm trying to remove. Alright, excellent. Needs a new gearbox. Usually always jacks up the amount of money I'm getting out of the deal without actually being any more work. Which, as basically running the shop, that makes sense, because now I'd be making money off of basically trying to think what the word is, or basically the profit margin for the parts I'm providing. I think that's done, and yeah, it pays out for, oh right, there are other tasks. That'll most likely be simple stuff. Coolant and windshield washer fluid. Here we go again with the people really want their windshield washer fluid swapped in this game, which is just not a thing you do. You just use it and fill it. Now I want to go back to remove that cap. All right. Oh yeah, so total profit is 7,200 bucks for, yeah, we're making a good bit of profit for what we put in. Sure, we'll take it. Brakes and exhaust. Not nearly as well paying as our exhaust or as transmission work is, but pretty easy stuff and pretty standard stuff. If you live in the Rust Belt, basically exhaust rusting apart is going to be something that you do deal with quite a lot. I am lucky that I have not been a mechanic in the Rust Belt. Alright, so we've got 5 brake components and 1 exhaust component, and it is going to be that exhaust pipe right there that is rusted out. Does this car have ABS? It does, but that module's looking fine and the brake was just looking fine. So the problem's going to exist in at the wheels. So here we're going to have a case of good brake pads with a bad brake rotor, which is just not, I mean, it is something that I have done that before, where I've gone in and replaced rotors that are replacing the pads, but that was just warped pads. Looking forward, I'm going to, that's great, I'm pulling that off. I can toss it on the brake lathe. That doesn't cost me any money, so we'll do a proper brake job on that. Now I already have 2 brake discs that are in, well, I've already got 2 brake pads that are in good condition that are 100% because I repaired them from prior. But so minimum part quality to replace is 55. So I can put these 50% or these like 60% brake pads on the back and we're good. Okay, so to do the fronts, we're gonna have to go to the brake lathe and toss these on. And it will basically machine down the surface and give us a good braking surface again. Now, the necessary part, I don't know. Yeah, okay, here I can try to repair. Okay, and so this mini game gets easier the better condition the parts are in. It's kind of neat. And then those are all the parts I can repair. So I need a brake caliper, 2 brake pads. That caliper is in too bad condition to try to repair. I apparently added brake pads 3 times and did not add brake caliper. That is fine. And we've got a nice shiny new rudder to take off, or good as new rudder, so we need one more vented, but we can put this one on while that one machines, which this is very much what we would do in a shop, where you're always trying to do one thing while something else is going on. Yeah, sure, we'll take that one in. Won't really get to it until we're done with the other one, but no point in basically, if you have a job that you want to take, may as well accept it and then get to it when you can. Because if you're running a successful shop, you'll definitely be juggling multiple work orders at the same time. Right, need okay, I already have one at 100%. No, I've got 2. Okay, apparently one of the discs I had was vented, so I already had one in my inventory. I didn't realize that. All right, we also had that exhaust. Now what is, I hope I don't need to go back up and remove the, I think, oh, this would be a pain in the butt. I think I have to remove the exhaust manifold first, which is backwards. That is not the way that you would go about this. You would very much unbolt that pipe from the manifold and leave the manifold up. Oh. There. Yeah, and I still got to do that one from the bottom, so. That's one thing in this game, the parts have to be removed in a specific order, when in real life, very often you can kind of decide what way you want to do it. Alright, well, put her back down, put that manifold back on, and that job will be done. Meanwhile, this one's going to have a lot going on. So we have suspension, running gear, knocking, gear issues, and other tasks, which is basically drain and fill every fluid. We'll leave all that for now. This job will take us a fair bit of time to get through. Okay, so suspension is going to be all pretty much from the bottom. Gearbox is going to be mostly bottom, but this is a front-wheel drive, which means we want to take that starter out from the top before we get to pulling transmission out. And may as well drain the fluids here. And hope this guy's not actually using the same pump to change basically coolant and brake fluid. That would be possibly problematic. Basically, brake fluid is very sensitive to contaminants, and if you put something like oil in your brake fluid reservoir, every seal in the brake system is damn it, I did not mean to do that. But yeah, every seal in the brake system is going to be destroyed. What happens is they swell up and get very soft and need to be replaced, otherwise they will fail very, very easily. Which is not universal, it all depends on what sort of brake. Damn it, I'm doing this again. I don't like the fact that you have to use the remove button to remove the cap to fill. Because then it means it's too easy to accidentally remove the entire reservoir. Alright, so all the fluid swaps are done. Let's put that up. Not just transmission work, that's perfect. Alright, well, we're going to need to get the front tires off no matter what, so let's start there. It looks like we're doing a steering rack. Going to be doing a steering rack here, so let's just go ahead and pull that out. As well as that shock is obviously done. In real life, you'd more likely be seeing either the strut leaking and being done, or just Basically, it's not doing its job anymore, and the seals inside have gone. But that's not something you would visually see. That's something you would basically notice that the car, if you sort of like bounce the corner, it stays rebounding more than it should. Don't really work as suspension much anymore, so I have a hard time remembering, but I think it's something like you want your oscillations to kind of drop out at about 1.5. Let's see. So steering rack part not discovered for running gear, so that's very likely a bushing. Front shock absorber. All that's clutch, and all that's already done. So I think we're just going to have to go back to inspection mode and find that one running gear part. Could be a wheel bearing, could be a bushing, sway bar link. So a lot of little things that it could be. Doesn't look like it's going to be here on the back corner, so let's go check the front. Yeah, I think we're probably going to be looking for a bushing. So let's take a look. Those all look fine. Do we have worn out bushings here on the back? In real life, you wouldn't be looking for a bushing to be like off color and splotchy like these usually are. You'd be looking for one that has tearing, where the rubber is basically tearing out of it. No, I don't see it as a bushing either. It's probably something obvious. I'm just missing it. Well, having gone for that test drive would definitely save me this trouble. Running gear faults, that's... It's going to be something like suspension, but I don't... I do not see it. through inspection mode and just see if so no, I'm not seeing any red spots, so let's pull the tires off and see if there's gonna be something silly like the bearing cap. Alright, it is not. Well, this might just be put it back together and take it for a test drive and see what the issue is rather than spending more time trying to figure this out. Oh, I do not have the perks for repairing a starter, but I've had some upgrades. I think I can probably do that. There, that should let me repair the starter, which really is not something I should bother doing because the starter is not a problem on the vehicle there. But I've repaired everything I can, and we need clutch plate, pressure plate, release bearing, gearbox, and steering rack. As well as we need that shock apart. That I just left from last time. Well, that transmission is quite cheap. course, I do not have the necessary part to put that shock back together because it is still sitting here. Now, not actually sure. Which one of these, because I think these tables all repair different things, and it probably tells you if you're not playing on expert mode what each table repairs, but unfortunately I have not played this game not on expert mode. Alright, we have our new shock absorber. Let's put it back. Let's put it together. Alright, so we'll just toss the tires back on, and then this thing needs to go for a test drive so that we can figure out what's actually, where that last remaining part is. We'll get started on this one. Test track, and we'll see if I can manage to not accidentally. Wheels are not aligned. Car may drive in an odd way. Success. I don't think I have an alignment rack in this game, do I? That's less than ideal. The car has a bit of a pull to the right. Should really plug in my controller for these test drives. It might be a lot easier. Front spring. Yeah, okay. I looked at the shock, I looked at the cap, I didn't really look that closely at the spring, so that's legit. Oh, four-wheel drive, yes. Have to deal with a drive shaft as well as the axle halves. Also, what is going on with the airbox? Just crammed so close enough to transmission. Once again, very realistic. That's a thing that a lot of manufacturers do, just really cram every last inch of space out of there. Out of the space they do have, but it's still obnoxious. Also for this reason now of, oh, there it is. That's the bolt I'm missing. Alright, we'll see if we can repair any of these parts. I have made things worse. Should really not be repairing parts that are not part of the repair order. It does cost me money to repair this stuff. I want to know what that table's for repairing. Alright, well. Need a flywheel, pressure plate, and gearbox. Let's sell off all the parts in poor shape and go shopping. Yeah, that's just not deleted from last time. However, let's go ahead and buy that front spring that we need for the other car. Under $1,000 for a four-wheel drive, basically transmission and transfer case unit. That's ridiculously cheap. The flywheel seems to me to be too expensive, and the transmission seems way too cheap. Mind you, I'm really not in the position where I look at the cost of things. I just tell other people what it needs, and someone else does the math on what it's going to cost. Alright, and I need to pull the shocks apart on this side. So let's get that tire off, get the sway bar link off. And in real life, you wouldn't bother removing the tire sway bar link if you don't need to here. You'd just unbolt the top and let the sway bar link kind of sit out of the way. but most likely you're going to have to take this apart a lot farther to get that strut out than what you really want to. Alright, that can be pulled apart while we put the starter in. And everything is done. Payout $3,300. Not bad. We already bought the parts, so just slap it all together. And then it goes back in the car, which let's take our phone calls. We'll see what I have when I am done this car. Nothing really speaks to me. It might be time to do the next story mission. Kingdom of Kabuto. I was questioning how far and wide from different states the cars were coming from, but I suppose we have cars coming from the Kingdom of Kabuto, so I have a lot of very interesting travelers coming through here, obviously. Alright, finish order. I have $24,000 sitting there. Now I would love to spend some money on things, but I think let's take another worker and then we'll do a barn. We'll go explore a barn. Oh, we'll see. Because barn explorations are where you have a chance to kind of get a cheap car that you can then repair and hopefully basically fully restore and then sell off for either a huge profit or basically keep for yourself. Loud exhaust and gearbox. So judging by the condition of everything else here, this car is really looking like it is in rough shape. I do want to get one of these though. This, whatever off-brand, what is this? I need to remember. Tamago Qashqai, because this is probably one of the better generations of Civics ever made. Also one of the better generations of Civics to actually ever work on. And these are also exactly the sort of rims I would realistically expect on a Civic like this. Just, they just certainly attract a certain type of person who's got a certain aesthetic in mind. Also, if your rim is rusted like this, I have questions. That's an aluminum rim, it should not have metal rust on it. So aluminum can rust, but it does not rust the way iron does. I also can't tell if these need to be replaced or not, because they're not really any worse than the rest of the car. but we'll pull them off and see what list they give us. Oh, that exhaust is middle muffler only. I pulled off 2 parts because they both looked equally bad. Okay, so flywheel, pressure plate, the clutch plate, which is 45%, is good enough to keep going, but we need gearbox and middle muffler. Yes, this thing is, yeah, minimum parts for it are 44%. This thing needs a lot of TLC. Right, I have to actually go buy the parts. I can't just put them in my shopping list. There's absolutely no point in putting brand new clutch parts around a worn out clutch disc. The only cost for you is the cost of the clutch disc at that point. No labor involved, it already has to come out. So this is absolutely the time to do it. So I would love to see that logic improved in the game where certain parts are not needed to be replaced, but just should be replaced because this is the sensible time to do it. Basically anything that's a wear item. Actually, mostly I'd like just them to sort of see the difference, or basically find some way to really bring out the difference between parts that are wear items and parts that break. Because like an exhaust is not a wear item. It's not something where if you use it for a long period of time, it is absolutely going to wear out. It's one of those things where it will rust and get damaged, and there's lots of things that can happen to it to need you to replace it. But just through use, it's not going to wear out. Brake pads, on the other hand, they're going to wear out. There's nothing you can do about it. All right, finish order. Car is incomplete. Yes, you are right. I cannot send this out without a starter. Honestly surprised the game lets me send out cars while they're on the top of the hoist anyway. Alright, so that's kicked out. We have 26 grand. Nothing of real interest there. Let's go check out a barn. Right. I actually have no idea what to expect for a barn in this game. I haven't gone to one before. I know in the last game they were not bad. It was definitely the best place to find cars to try to restore, but I never really picked up any of the parts that I found as in a barn. Just not really my style. Well, we've got a Mustang that's in, or no, a Supra that is in kind of crap condition. And how much is it? 43 grand to buy. I cannot afford that. Well, let's see what else is here. Oh, we have a box here. Gearbox in really good condition. We'll grab that for now, see what the cost is to us to take it. unfortunate. The body parts, they really are very specific to. So the taillights immediately made me think Mustang. But if you actually look at it from the front here, this is a off-brand Toyota Supra. That's absolutely what this is. It's got the Supra front headlights and the sort of like the silhouette shape with the wing and everything. It is 100% Supra. Oh, we'll put that in the list. So what's interesting is I see you commenting, but it does not show me that I have any viewers. It's showing me as 0 viewers right now. Well, let's see what this old. Assuming this was basically an old Buick. I'm trying to remember what the model name is, but no. Let's see what it would cost us. It would cost us 21 grand to buy. I don't have a particular interest in restoring an old Buick, so we'll leave it. So getting some pretty good parts for cars, but I don't really, unless I'm actually restoring a car like that already, I don't really want to take these barn parts. Oh, and here we have a Chrysler 300. Do wish my flashlight was a little less blinding at close range. I think I'll just pass on this barn. Nothing in here that I really want. At some point I have to look through the car list and see what is a good car to get. I don't actually know if that's. We'll leave the rim. Actually, we'll leave the air filter as well. We will take that gearbox. I think that'll actually work out to being a profitable deal. Mind you, it's a specific Nissan gearbox, so it's not one that I'm going to run into a lot. Nothing super interesting, so I think we will take that. Well, we'll take that. That should pay out pretty good. I think we'll also take the next story mission as well. I'm not sure exactly what we're doing with the Firebird or Camaro ripoff here. We'll get back to that in a second. Let's look at the brakes and transmission from this truck. Oh, we'll absolutely pull that in. Skyline with transmission work. Alright, so we got braking issues, and I'm just going to go ahead and pull out the ABS module and pump, as they look like they're done. Hello, kitty cat. What do you want? What do you desire of me? Mostly just to be a nuisance? Yeah, that's fair. Alright, rear-wheel drive means start is accessible from below, so let's get that up. So currently I have one concurrent viewer. I do have 6 playbacks though, so now we're up to 2 concurrent viewers. Yeah, it looks like everything, all the brakes in this corner are going to be fine. Let's see how many more parts we're waiting on or looking for. So 3 more brake parts. Let's get those rear tires off. Yeah, those brake pads look like they're done. Once again, I really would love to see brake pads wear out rather than just rust up. Okay, so now I've found all of the different brake parts that need to come out. Let's get that. Let's get the axle, or the drive shaft out, not axle. Alright, now I think I've gotten all the bolts in that one. Let's get the bolts from the other side of the drive shaft. There, yes. Okay. Yeah, so my playbacks jumped. They have jumped up to 11 at this point, but my concurrent viewers has not. Alright, let's see what I can repair from that. Oh, ABS pump, I don't actually think that is on the list. No, just ABS module, not the pump. So we only need 47% or better. So we'll try to repair this part. And I just destroyed it. So that didn't help us. Well, that's fine. We'll just buy new. I do not have the necessary parts. Are they really that poor condition that I cannot? Yep, they are. Alright, that's fine. So we need one new vented disc. But I think, yeah, we've already got a 100% vented disc in the inventory because of past repairs. That works. So skip the brake disc. And we need the ABS module. Yes, I am definitely nowhere near the subscribers required to get, that is not what I wanted to do. I am definitely not anywhere near the subscribers required to get ad revenue. Yes, I am now back to 0 concurrent viewers with 17 playbacks and 30 seconds average watch time. Yeah, apparently you, as far as YouTube's concerned, you don't count as a viewer. I would have figured they would at least count you as one. Okay, come on. Oh, apparently I'm missing a bolt somewhere to put that back in, which is why this view is so frustrating. There. Yeah, that's all in. Yeah, just need to put that ABS module in, and then that one will be done. So let's, first off, calls. Sure. It's transmission work, we'll take it. We'll just line up all the transmission jobs outside if we have to. In real life, I would hate to be a specialty transmission shop, but in this game, they seem to be the way to make money. But let's see, what is the story behind this car? So it is a Bolt Hornet, and good morning, would you be able to help me? It is my first car. It may not be the perfect car, but it is mine. I've always dreamed about one like this, so finally I managed to save some cash and started looking immediately. It seems that I may have gotten a bit carried away. I heard that this does not bode well. The salesman said that the brakes need to be repaired, but the rest is in perfect condition. This morning I heard a banging in the back and it pulls to the right. I hope it's nothing serious. I'll borrow some cash if necessary, but I hope it's just the brakes. I can't wait to hit the road again. please do a checkup and replace what you need. So we are fixing the front bumper, oil change, and replace windshield washer fluid. As well as weave brakes and a bunch of different parts in there. So needless to say, I think his repair bill is not going to be as cheap as he was hoping. I did not put the starter in. This is very unfortunate because it means I have to lift it again to put that in. Is there something else I need to do from the top? I don't think so, Oh, headlights are the headlights, if you just pull the bumper, the headlights come out with it. That is interesting. I like that better though, so. I do not think that it is even going to let me repair that, is it? I hear motorcycles getting past, so I think we are about to have guests soon. Alright, well, let's start with shopping for body parts. Okay, so replace the front bumper, which we don't have to paint, so yay. But I think we may end up wanting to take this thing for a test drive before we start ripping and tearing it apart. Alright. So this van is done. Engine can't be started. I hate when all these people who have been driving cars and who then mysteriously cannot be started. Alright, well, you are just transmission work, so you get to go over there. Alright, so why can the engine not be started? Does it have oil? It has enough oil that it's not... That's not a particular problem. washer fluid, fill it, and then we'll run the diagnostics. Okay, no, run diagnostics, that's what we want to do. Okay, let's scan for codes, which I would also love to see if they would actually like give you codes rather than just... Basically, I would love Diag to actually be a thing more than just looking for parts that are rusty. Alright, so we got ignition coil, spark plugs. That's all pretty straightforward. Let's do compression test. Let's see, am I pulling pistons out of this motor? I think the last 3 story missions have all been pull pistons out. The last one was full engine rebuild. Camshaft, okay, that's not nearly as deep into there. Alright, electrically everything's looking great. Well, let's give a fuel pressure test, and then that'll be... Yeah, bad fuel rail. Alright, well... we're going to have to pull spark plugs for it anyway, and pull the valve covers, because I don't know which cam is supposed to be bad. In real life, you would have a code that would tell you which side the issue is on if it's something that is going to throw a code. So we'll pull aside and see if we get lucky. And we have timing. Alright, so we are going to rip apart the front of the motor. Which that radiator is realistically exactly where it probably would be. Not giving you nearly enough space to really work. But absolute pain in the butt. So which one of these pulleys has to come out first? That one. Alright, so then we take the back belt, and since we're pulling the timing cover, we're going to have to pull all of these. As well, we are going to have to drain the coolant because we are going to be pulling the water pump out. Which is one of those things in real life. Sometimes you have to, sometimes you don't have to for removing a timing cover. I do get really salty every time that this is a thing I have to do in real life. Okay, there's got to be another... oh, there, it's a stuck bolt. I feel like stuck bolts happen just the right amount of time where I don't automatically just spray whenever a bolt, like whenever I can't find the bolt without looking. But I also keep being annoyed by finding bolts that are stuck, which is pretty much exactly how that works in real life. No, that does not have to come out. Just the pulleys. Alright, and we'll pull the valve cover on the other side anyway, because we need to pull the timing cover off. Yeah, I think this one only has 4 bolts, which is not something I've ever seen in real life, but I appreciate because it can be a real pain to find all the bolts for a timing cover, especially when you don't have enough because you can't get a good look at anything. Yeah, so it looks like both timing belts are past due. Okay. So there are still a whack of parts we have not found, but we have found a good chunk of the engine parts. Let's get that up higher on the hoist. Strain that oil. Okay, pull off all the tires, pull out the brakes, and then I'm guessing we're gonna have running gear issues. Oh, also those tires really look like they're done. He mentioned a bang in the back and then it pulled to a side. Anyway, he's got a solid rear axle. If you have a solid rear axle and you're pulling to the side because of something that happened there, you're having a bad day. Let's pull the suspension apart here. I think this is where our issues are going to be. So those spring seats don't look good. Yeah, I do wonder if there's going to be something internal to the axle. Right now I'm just kind of removing things that look rusty because they're likely culprits, but still have 6 undiscovered parts that are bad. Which that's right, I did not finish taking this apart. So 5 bad parts. Well, let's take a look. See if we find some bad wheel bearings or any of that. So we've got broken hub there. That'll do it. Which would realistically mean you're replacing the wheel bearings while you're there. There's no point in not. All right. Yeah, anytime you're like the rubber bushings, the bearings, most of that stuff is pressed in, so you're not going to be taking it out after. Well, that rubber bushing is done. Same with that one. What does that leave me with? 1 unknown part? 1 part undiscovered. Let's see if that was just it. Alright. All the parts discovered. Now it's just a case of actually replacing them. So what is our minimum? Minimum condition is 77. That's actually pretty high for most vehicles in this game. So spring cap can be attempted. So, and most of the other these are not on our list to be repaired or replaced. Pretty sure I don't actually have to fix all of this stuff, but if it's below 77 and it's was part of the issue, may as well make sense to me to do it. Let's just toss that on and we'll come back for it in a bit. Alright, I guess make my wish list. Bunch of rubber bushings, wheel hubs, rear axle, U-bolts, we already knew this was going to be all 4 brake pads. Spring cap, more U-bolts, control arm. Yes, oil filter, camshaft. Yes, the timing belts. And what should be all 4 spark plugs. But is not. And then yes, that fuel rail. More ignition coils and spark plugs. And then the rest of that is from prior work. ABS module is not from this one. So is, alright, so 6 of these. Right, spark plugs will be in electrical, ignition coils will be in electrical, fuel rail will be here. No, I don't want to leave. I would like to just leave that shut. So there, spark plugs need 5. Ignition coils need 3. Let's clear the wish list and grab our brake disc. And may as well toss that on, no harm. And let's stop by. I have leveled up. Yes. Increase screwing speed by 55. Anything that makes pulling parts on and off go faster is good by me. Alright, so it's going to be most of these rubber bushings need to be replaced. Because there's only the one that I did not remove. And then we've got most of the back apart, so this is very much going to be built from ground up. That's absolutely not where I wanted to go. Yeah, you definitely wouldn't want to put, if you pulled this much apart, you don't want to put old crappy parts in anywhere here, because Customers are going to be really upset if they spend all this money repairing their car and then, you know, next week something else breaks. And that's exactly the sort of thing that happens a lot if you don't do your due diligence and replace parts that are close to failure but have not failed yet and might not fail anytime soon, but there's always that risk. So wait a minute, before I'm putting all this back together, just make sure that those tires are not a part of this. They are not. These basically bald tires are fine to be going on. They have no tread left. These things are basically as good as racing slicks in the rain, and unfortunately won't be as good as racing slicks on the track, so it's really a lose-lose situation. Alright, I think everything from below is in. I'm sure I will find out the hard way that it is not. Yeah, I guess I should probably put the water pump back in before I fill it. Now, are these spark plugs good enough condition? Yes, they're 78%. They need to be 77%, otherwise they are not in good enough condition to actually go in. New fuel rail, and let's get that. All these pulleys back on. This really does seem to be such a organizational nightmare for these. It's got 2 drive belts up front, and they mostly get routed around pulleys that don't do anything. In real life, there'd be other accessories being run off this, like AC, which this game does not have. No cars in this game have AC condensers, AC compressors, or AC lines. So all these poor buggers are driving through the desert with no AC. I do wish you could actually paint the valve covers. I'm pretty sure you can't, but I'd love to actually be able to paint. I shouldn't say that. I have not seen any of the paint shop stuff. Maybe you can actually paint internals. That would be very cool. All right, now let's put coolant back in the car. And then check, I'm sure I've forgotten to put something back together. Which, actually, one of those things is going to be I have not put oil in. We did do an oil change. Right, so one of the ignition coils we put on is not in good enough condition. They are unhappy with it. Well, this one right here should be the one in worse shape, so let's see what it is. 71%. Let's put on a new one and see if that makes everyone happy. Still, one ignition coil is not happy. And one rubber bushing somewhere is not happy. So that is 76%, just barely not good enough. Still a bad ignition coil. How bad is that one? 76%. So basically I'm just going to end up replacing all of the ignition coils because I did not pay attention to where the bad ones came out of. Because I did end up replacing more of them than the game needs me to. And I have missed a rubber bushing somewhere. Probably in that back suspension. Meanwhile, that is a remove from below, and it is all gearbox, so let's toss you up in the hoist. Now what? Somewhere there is a rubber bushing that is not happy. All of these went in. Alright, yeah, so that one went in as 73%. Which rubber bushings I'm pretty sure are a non-repairable item no matter what. Our rubber bushing is not part of the... Oh, right there, yeah. There they are. Let's try that again and actually put that bolt through. There. So replace everything there that needs to be replaced. Front bumper, change the oil. All for the low price of $4,000, which we did quite a lot of work for $4,000, but we'll see. We'll see if this job pays better than the story job did. Yes, another stuck bolt. It looks like the rest that's good, so we'll just leave it and order the parts we need. There, and we fixed all those problems. So that gave us 2,400 bucks. So not actually that much, but it was still pretty straightforward. Not a bad deal. Okay, well I think it's time to at least get the car wash. I think, yeah, before we buy anything else, should definitely go for another run to a barn, see if we can't find something cool. Hopefully something cool, but not too expensive. Although realistically, the first car I get out of a barn find, I will probably restore and then sell, because there'll just be too much money in it. I will totally buy this car if this is not out of my price range. It is not out of my price range. Alright, well, I'll see what else is in here, but I think that might be what I'm getting. That, or I can get this old muscle car. Get the Judge. Oh, or a... Now, so is this a Nissan, or is this a Ribson? Is this a ripoff? I think this is... this is a bootleg Nissan, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it's the Ribson Z530 rather than a Nissan 350Z. Oh, this one's quite a bit cheaper. Honestly, I'm more tempted for that old Corvette, but The price of the Nissan makes it very tempting, and when fully restored, it should give me a pretty good bonus. So that's it. We're gonna buy this, and this will be our project car, and then it will get sold. What was that? Nissan GTR right mirror? No, that's something I'm kind of tempted to get. Because I will at some point own a Nissan GTR. But I also don't want to hold on to parts forever that I'm not planning on needing for quite a while. I'd say this is an unrealistic collection of junk, but I am probably very wrong on that. There's probably much stranger things that have cluttered together in an old barn. What exactly was that? Rocker arm. That's interesting. Rocker arm. Alright, so we've gotten everything we are going to get out of the barn. Let's head back to the shop and start more or less need to decide what my plan of action is. I'm going to want at least the first level of body shop before I'm able to fully restore the Nissan. Which, let's open the case. I'll just keep opening cases if they keep giving me cases then. This is the third case in a row I've gotten. There. Barn location. Let's use it. Alright, well, let's go see if I can repair anything in my inventory first off. I will be able to repair it, but not until I have gotten the perk. So that's something we will hang on to. I don't have any other parts to repair stuff there. Also, oh, I have leveled up, so I've got more skill points to spend. There. So all this stuff cannot be... I kind of don't want to throw out these ignition coils because they are in good enough condition that they could be used to fix something. But let's sell parts. That leaves us with these. And that works. Yeah, let's get that in here. Oh yeah, right. I have that one still sitting here. So here is our Nissan. Let's move to the car wash. Let's see if cleaning it up does anything. Let's detail the interior. Well, it certainly has made it cleaner, even though it's you know, still missing a seat. And let's wash the exterior off. Probably not gonna make much of a difference because, well, that made one hell of a difference. So this is the car we bought. Feeling much better about it now that it's shiny black rather than whatever that brown color was before. I did not actually think it was just dirt, but the interior of this, like, so much of this car needs to be replaced, rebuilt. This condition is pretty atrocious, but that is fine. So let's see. Oh, so this is still, this goes up between. So I wonder if it's going to end up being the paint job. I don't know what this is or will ever become. Because if this does not become the paint job, then or paint shop, then I don't know what this becomes. No oil, so I cannot, not sure how I'm moving it around if I cannot start the engine. But let's put it back outside. I do not know what happened to, I thought I had 2 cars out here. I think this one may have just basically kicked the car that was out here. Alright, well, this gets put on lifter 2. And probably not today, I don't think I've got the time for it, but this is going to get a full tear down. Struggling to find gears, so that's probably just going to be a clutch disc. So we are front wheel drive, let's get that starter out of the way. Or is that actually going to be a starter from below? Interesting. I guess this is four-wheel drive, not front-wheel drive. It's hard to tell when the... Okay, no, it is front-wheel drive. Okay. I'm making incorrect assumptions. So we've got a bad flywheel. So unfortunately, since we're only replacing one part, the profit out of this job is probably going to be much smaller than it is when you're replacing like 4, 5, or 6 parts out of these transmissions. Especially if one of the parts is the transmission, which can cost 3 to 5 grand on its own. All right, I'll probably call it quits soon, but for the moment, this I would like to pull everything out of this. So when I say we're pulling everything, I mean everything. Pull the doors, pull the windows, pull every panel we can, because this car is going to go back together at 100%. If it isn't perfect, it's not staying on the car. Yeah, we're going to repair as much as we can, but I'm thinking these parts are going to be too low quality to be repaired for the most part, so it's going to be replacing with brand new parts mostly. Which is less than ideal, but in the end, if I can afford to do it, I should be able to sell the car for enough of a markup to make it worthwhile. Which is absolutely 100% not how you would do this. You want to buy and sell cars and make the most money you can out of it. You want to fix as little as you can to make the car sellable. And if you only care about money, that means if it's something that's going to break tomorrow, that's not something you fix because you're trying to sell it today. the rims are repairable, because rims are something that can be repaired in a lot of cases. But I don't know if that is one of the items that this game allows to be repaired or not. Say, but if you were basically trying to actually restore a car and basically if you were restoring a car for yourself or restoring it for a customer who really just wants it done perfect, to paint the car, you would be stripping it down to basically you'd be stripping it down to the frame, you'd be stripping it down to what this car will be ending up as. Yes, another stuck bolt. A lot of stuck bolts on this one, which, considering how rusty it is far from the most shocking thing. In real life, probably like 90% of these bolts would require lube and heat in order to have any chance of coming apart. Now I cannot tell if there are, yes there are rusted bolts. Which is definitely one of the biggest problems of not being able to zoom into the ends of the drive shaft. All right, let's drain. Let's say there's no oil, but I don't trust it that much. No jobs I want to take on the side right now. Yeah, that would have been just enough oil for me to have a mess. Wait, is this actually the same? This is the same oil pan they use on the actual Nissan cars. So the fake Nissan cars are sharing parts with the actual Nissan cars that you can find in the game. Once again, if you have rusted bolts inside your crankcase, that engine is so far done. Not necessarily like, but basically there's oil in your crankcase. If you've gotten enough moisture to build rust in your crankcase, the bearings are probably going to be shot for sure. But all right, so we pulled all that apart. Now I guess, yep, I've got to pull each fuse if I want to do that. The idea of, so I am going to pull all the fuses out and replace the fuse box because I want this thing out at 100%, but the idea of replacing fuses and fuse boxes as part of a resto seems silly, to say the least. No, I don't have to worry about draining coolant, I don't think, seeing as there is no reservoir. So we are down just to the engine block now. Now this is the sort of timing cover bolt setup I'm used to, where if you've got a V configuration, there's a ton of bolts. All right, somewhere I'm missing a bolt. Oh, right there. And we are off. Right, and we've got the two chain guides, which need to come off before the chain can come off. And so we're almost down to, like at this point, really, we should have the engine on a stand. But, got a stand. Could totally do that. But we've got to this point, let's just keep ripping and tearing. We're not stopping until it rings off anyway. Yes, this is a atrocious setup with variable, basically a variable setup on either end. At least I assume the big cam gear is set up due to basically set up for variable valve timing on the front. I am apparently pulling that cover off. That works. I think that was what's holding this on. Yep. That's without the alignment, so it's a bit hard to tell what the game thinks you're clicking on. So there's no bolt here on the front. That would be an atrocious head gasket, or yeah, like head bolts pattern. There's a lot of pressure on it. You don't want to give it any chance to develop a leak along the head gasket. It's going to happen eventually anyway. Don't give it a hand. Alright, so the pistons are all out. This crankshaft needs to be taken out from below. We can do that. Crankshaft comes out. Now they're going to make me pull that engine out from the top, which realistically when you've got the subframe out, it comes out easier from the bottom almost always, as there's a bigger opening there. But let's pull out the engine, and it's probably going to be here now on... Oh no, I'm probably holding it in my hands now. This is the engine that we've got. Let's take a look. I have the engine block out, and I can still not tell what condition it is in. That seems silly, to say the least. But, oh, either way, let's see, what can we repair? of what we took off. Definitely quite a bit more challenging to get parts repaired when they're already in poor shape, which is pretty realistic. And the better the part is, the less work it takes to get it in passable condition. So I'm not sure what I did to earn the 25% chance of instant repair. Not sure that's just a perk or whatever. I did not think I was going to get that one. Don't like it when there's no buffer. feel like this mini game is actually quite good. I like the mini game, but it is definitely, when you're just sitting here doing this, it's has you spending time that really is not what the game does best. My thought is, in game design, you want your player spending most of the time playing the gameplay that they really are there for. So, I'm not a game designer, so I won't tell them how to make a game, but it is one of those things where I question a little bit. When I basically see developers forcing you to do something that is not fun. Mind you, this is much more engaging than it was sitting at just a bench hitting repair a bunch of times until either you had repaired everything or, you know, were just bored and wanting to move on. Okay, so I've got a bunch of stuff that I could repair if... Yeah, okay, so I've got an engine block at 27%, but it is repairable. However, I need Renovator level 4. Well, let's see. Did I level up somewhere in there? Nope. I have no skill points to spend, so before I can repair any of that, I need to get 4 more skill points. No, and I need Renovator level 6 in order to be doing those. Okay, so this is all body work. And I'm also going to have suspension to pull apart and tires to separate. So it's nice that we can build all these, but unfortunately the game does not tell us what they can go into. Since I plan on selling it, I don't really care to put anything else into the car. Yeah, so currently the car has absolutely nothing in it. My profit currently is at negative 14,000. I could sell it for 3 grand. I bought it for 17. So if we were to put that on, what is that? So 3554, 322. So yeah, just adding a couple parts increases the value by a ton. Yeah, so the engine is V6 dual overhead cam NSN, which I assume is just their code for Nissan. Alright, I am out of brake parts to lathe. Well, let's see if there's any parts of the suspension that I can put together. No, I don't care for any of those. Yeah, that rear axle I'm pretty sure I repaired, so we'll put that in. Fuel tank is going to be garbage to us. I don't think we can repair that. I did not look super closely at the list of repairable things. Shocks will need to be replaced. And we're going to need a bunch of rubber bushings everywhere. The sway bar needs to be replaced. That can get bolted up. And then we need small rubber bushings all over the place. Exhaust needs to be replaced. And we'll need new pads across the board. Alright, and we'll see if any parts of the front suspension can go back together. Yes, they can. Alright, which we've taken apart. Let's see if we can repair any of the stuff we pulled apart there. It would appear not, so we're going to be stuck buying new shocks all the way around and new rims. Well, let's drop it down and see if there's any parts I can replace up top. I apparently still have a front shock absorber. That is not in part. Not that it really matters, I could just sell them as one piece as I cannot fix the individual parts. Yeah, we got a ton of worn out parts, but that's fine. Which actually we have this shop out here for salvaging things. Really not hitting luck on this. Alright, well, it's everything's 15 or below. Now I could upgrade this part, but realistically it doesn't. On a car I'm just going to sell immediately. Does not seem like it'll be worthwhile. But I suppose on something that's worth quite a bit of money, it might make enough of a difference. But whatever, let's put together what we can at the top, and then I will call it a day. No, we don't want to assemble exterior parts, we want to assemble body. Alright, well I think that is about as far as that is getting. So yeah, we'll call it a day and get back to this another time. It's going to be a lot of work to restore this car back to perfect mint condition. Let's see what the value is now that it's got some parts back in at 100. So we've bump the value back up to 7,500, and our profit currently would be to lose $10,000. Not exactly a great proposition, but we'll get it all restored, and everything will be better. All right, you guys have a good day.